Hello, I'm FGX and one of my most popular series on my channel recently seems to be the 1 week realm experiments. This is where we apply really silly rules to a Minecraft realm for a week and we see the progression of the server over that time. However, the downsides of using a Minecraft realm, besides the cost, is the fact that obviously you can't have as many players as a Minecraft server, and also it only works in Minecraft Bedrock. So MC Pro Hosting recently hit me up and said, hey, do you want a server for Minecraft Bedrock or Minecraft Java? I said yes to that, which they weren't quite expecting, which is why today I have two Minecraft servers I'm going to be following over the course of a week. I have a Minecraft Java server and a Minecraft Bedrock server. As you can see, they're both set up on the same seed, and we're going to be seeing what happens over the course of a week on both servers. It's the ultimate, question being answered in the form of a Minecraft server. Which version of Minecraft is better? Is it Minecraft Java or is it Minecraft Bedrock? Over the course of the next 2 weeks, we put the two communities up against each other and we find out the answer for sure. So yeah, they are blank worlds with just basic survival rules, anti-cheat turned on, and we're going to see how well it goes with 100 separate people for Bedrock and 100 separate people for Java, seeing who is the better community when it comes to making beautiful survival worlds. So first, I feel like one of the most important things to explain is these are in fact very distinct servers on very distinct versions of Minecraft, and in case you're not familiar with the differences between Minecraft Bedrock and Minecraft Java, we won't dive into all of them right now, but so that you can tell the difference, we'll not only show you for the first few clips what is Bedrock and what is Java on screen, but also you can tell Bedrock from Java by the colors of the game, from the fact that Bedrock, as you can see right now, has coordinates in the top left at all times, if you turn them on that is, and also that Bedrock, when you type in the chat to say anything, you can see how the chat goes in the top left. When we play Minecraft Java, we not only have different colors, we not only do not have the coordinates, but if we say the exact same thing, you can see how the chat goes in the bottom left as opposed to the top left. Okay, now we've gotten that out of the way, let's open the floodgates and let's see which server fills up first. Okay, so one of the most astounding things is seeing how fast people join the server after I announced it. Like, look at all these people. We've got a guy called Toycat Yes, who's just me with a crown over there too. I'm liking the variety we've got on this server. We've got a lot of ocelots. But yeah, something I wasn't expecting is the fact that the Bedrock server has actually filled slower than the Java edition server. So clearly there's more demand for a better Java server. So it tells you there's more Java players that are watching Twitter at the very moment I announced it there, I guess. But luckily we can fit 100 players on both servers, so even this isn't enough to fit it, which is nice. So now the first part of the experiment is working out which build gets made first in both servers. Obviously it's going to be basic starter houses, but who makes better starter houses? Is it the Java edition community or is it the Bedrock community? I don't know if this is the best skin and name ever or the worst skin and name. No matter how bad you'll find skins in Minecraft Java though, you'll always find ones worse in Minecraft Bedrock. This is everything I hate about the internet personified in a skin. Oh, it's got the fire emoji in the back, because of course it does. Because of course it does. Also, I think people have been trained by the North Korea realm just to worship me as if, like, I didn't tell them to do this, but this is just what they're into. Okay, this makes things better. Bedrock has made up for its sins with its eternal worship. So the first build on the Java server has been made. We've got the community crafting. I mean, it's missing the G, but they ran out of space. Box. I mean, crafting box is a bit of a goofy term for it. And then we've got this house right here. As you can see, it's pretty nice. It has a crafting table on the inside as well. I guess this is his personal crafting table, and that's the one for the community to use. We are superior to Bedrock. But I didn't even tell the two servers that they were fighting, but they're getting crazy over it. Those Pocket Edition losers. So I teleported all the players into one position because we got a little bit of an issue, and I think I created a bigger issue. Have you ever seen so many players in one space? So while on the Java server, houses are being created, all we've really seen is a few stacks of, blocks on the Bedrock server. I think there's a lot of lag here, to be fair. We set the server limit to 100 without realizing that maybe it probably couldn't handle that so well. So I guess this is officially our first build on the Bedrock server. It's a tree that's half made of acacia and half made of spruce? Okay, so it took literally 4 times as long, but we now have some builds. We've got this, Lord Daddy Toycat, and what even is this? I can't even comprehend what this might be. We've then got the worst Minecraft house in the world. I mean, like, it's the bare minimum to be called a house, but it belongs to Soupy, apparently. And then in a nearby mesa, someone's written Toycat as yes, because, I mean, what's the first thing you should do with your ability? You should use it to I mean, key messages, I guess. Key messages. So it does have to be said, there's much more of a community on the Bedrock server. Like, people seem to just want to work together. I mean, plus the worship, which was a bit weird, but, you know, people seem to be working towards a common goal. Now is probably a fun time to mention that while I was trying to reduce lag, I made the player limit smaller, and now I can't get onto my own server, which is a tragedy if I've ever heard one. Like, I don't want anyone to be under the wrong illusion. I really don't know, you know, much about servers. It's something I kind of experiment with. That's the point of these realm/server experiments. I'm just playing around and seeing, you know, like, what we can do with it. About an hour in now, and we have a little community burgeoning here on top of the hill in Java. Again, it's near spawn, so I guess it's kind of the same thing. Okay, Java made me laugh first. I mean, I am a pussycat, right? Like, that's just an objective fact about me. We also have Dr. Phil's office over here. Why? How did they get that username, and why are they dressed as the generic panda girl in Minecraft? The skin that every girl seems to use, or every person pretending to be a girl, if nothing else. So Dr. Phil invited me into his, or her, or its, if it's a panda girl, office. And I'm just saying, it's a pretty bland office. Why is my server so laggy, Phil? So Dr. Philster responds, you need to increase the limit to 5,000. Well, you know, clearly we've got a man of culture. It does have to be said, the things that I do see on this server are actually really going quite well so far. So, good job Bedrock, guys, and good job Java so far. No one's made a dumpster fire yet, and that's always a good sign. Again, we should have anti-cheat that stops that happening, but you can't trust people, generally speaking. I would like to trust people, but you also can't trust people. Oh, and a funny fact, because the servers, we don't, you know, we just had some test servers. They're not meant for 100 players, but to kind of like maximize the amount we can get out of them, we've turned off mobs, and therefore people are having real troubles like surviving. But that's half the fun, right? You know, if people aren't starving to death, are you really even a dictator? People improvise, they adapt, they overcome, as you can see from this huge community farm that people are trying to start. I think that's beautiful. This guy's skin being covered up, you know, this is the awful emoji from earlier. That is definitely beautiful though. So 12 hours later, it seems as though there's been at least some amount of either griefing or mischievous behavior on the Java server. I mean, they still have their crops going, and I'm not really sure what else. A lot of signs, because that's a thing. And then we also have this nice little fountain, the Fountain of Children? The Fontaine of Children. Huh. Also, Dr. Phil has now moved his office onto the mountain because the mountain's just the coolest place to be. So yeah, besides that, you can see how, yeah, most things seem to be pretty rough, pretty destroyed here, which is surprising. I wasn't assuming that would be the case. Although it is worth noting, this is a pretty nice little build right here, like this little house. This is what people consider to be a traditionally nice/okay house, and it does technically work as a house in that way. How did you get in here? There is no door. Please answer with this sign. Broken. So the Bedrock server, on the other hand, is, I guess, also in a little bit of a rough place. You can see how there's some serious improvements. Because they had a jungle, they got a near unlimited amount of wood, it looks like. And they made an office-style building with no real purpose on the inside. But, you know, one day they can get all the people working a giant office-style factory, maybe, question mark. And also we've got this nice little statue of, you know, like some weird superhero-style dude, I'm assuming. I'm not even entirely sure. It seems as though the tragedy of the commons has struck here, because if you look, all of the crops, they used to have this wonderful way of stopping themselves from starving, but it looks as though someone just came in and stole all the crops and no one bothered replanting them. So again, that's the tragedy of the commons right there. Everyone collectively does something, one person breaks it, and now it's all gone, right? It looks like. Although if we head a few hundred blocks out of the jungle, you can see this little society starting over here, which again is going pretty nice so far. Everything's very basic, like it's all the, you know, because there's no hacking, no cheating, maybe that's all it is, though, is keeping people into the basic blocks of stone bricks and wooden planks and, you know, like half slabs from those stone bricks. But there's nothing too fancy here besides maybe the red terracotta, although it's likely from a mesa, which is really interesting to me, that like things are actually more survival based in this server than they ever have been. And even if that means things look rough right now, I want to see the progression that means that they'll lead over the next few days and indeed over the next week. So I've asked the guy where he got the diamonds, and I'm very suspicious of a man who has enough spare gold and iron to make this. Mining. I'm gonna punch him once. give them a warning here. But yeah, I think this is a really cool little civilization they have, the way they've turned like some extreme mountains into a place to live, and I'm hoping that this is something that goes well going forwards. And literally within the first 24 hours, we've already got the first build-up and then collapse of civilization. Everyone has left here. What was once the thriving, burgeoning start of a brand new world is now the burning start of a new world that has kind of left and gone elsewhere, which, you know, kind of makes sense, but it's still kind of tragic. Yeah, I'm going to be honest, based on the fire, the lot of fire actually in this Junglewood building, I'm guessing, you know, maybe a griefer, maybe a fair few griefers have come through here and decided, you know what, building things, that's not for us. I'd much rather burn things to the ground. And you know, it's hard to disagree with people too much. Oh look, there's another burgeoning part of civilization. Again, with a server with no limits, I guess every time someone's stuff gets destroyed, they can just move further and further away. And in this case, we've got a really nice little civilization starting here. So this is a roughly 24 hours when the server started. We've already got a really cool little civilization that started, ended, and then restarted in an entirely different place. And I think that's beautiful. You can tell it's legit because he's only half diamonds, half iron, and most people who duplicate have literally no tact. Also, message for Toycat inside, I just realized. Let's see what it is. Toycat forgot Echo's scream. I am very upset, Toycat. Where Diamond Sackboy told him to meow, meow. Toycat is meow. This is the worst message I've ever read. You know, I will not be sad if this civilization collapses in the next 24 hours. While we're talking about things that I wouldn't miss if they were to burn down or mysteriously vanish, there's this very strange statue of a villager. Is it even meant to be a villager? Is this meant to be anything? Is it a pig standing upright? I don't know, but it's pretty horrific. And then just a little bit over here, we have what was going to be the start of something great that I would assume was griefed if it didn't look like, no, actually, I think someone did just give up halfway through making something here. Same with this, right? Like, this is so specifically destroyed that I don't think it has been destroyed. I think it was just half built. And the text down here. Sorry to interrupt this build, but there was right where my house was going to be. Sorry to disappoint. There was a chest that might have been destroyed. So, yeah, I really do think that, you know, when the Java community gets to building something, they generally seem to do, like, a cool, interesting build. But based on what we've seen today, they also are very good at just getting halfway through something and giving up. Something I do find really suspicious is the fact that pretty much the exact same build, you know, from a different material, but this same idea of like a skyscraper with no content on the inside besides just stairs/ladders up, the fact that that's been built on both servers fairly near the spawn, maybe it's just an unoriginal idea, just having a, you know, perfect skyscraper up to the ceiling off the same material. Maybe that's just a really easy idea that has, you know, come across by pure chance, or maybe there's something more up for him. Maybe there's something about Bedrock and Java that's the same. Maybe there's something about all players when thrown into a survival server that will cause the exact same outcome. I'm not really too sure here. I'm just kind of interested to see. Because like I said, pretty much everything else I can see anywhere around here has the same issue of just being unfinished, a work in progress. And work in progresses are great, but we've got to see like a, you know, a work that's not in progress, a work that has progressed, and I see none of that around here. Okay, you know, I lied. I do in fact see a work not in progress. There's this beautiful house right here that has 2 doors, a dog, a furnace, and a crafting table. So yeah, this is the Toycat is yes house. Please don't steal. Please don't steal. I can't be on the server 24/7. To keep stuff safe, you know, you hack. You know, it's really nice of him to just like politely request. And if people, you know, listen to that request, then that goes to show Java community is full of great guys. Oh, also, it shows everyone's health above their head. Yeah, there definitely seems to be a common theme of courteousness on this server. I am sorry for taking some of your wood. You know, people don't need to say that to each other. A lot of people on the Realm experiments were nice to each other before they entirely weren't. It seems as though the niceness has survived this entire time over here on Java, which, you know, we've got many days to see that change, but I hope it doesn't. I really hope that we have a place where everyone's just nice to each other and does things that are generally not awful. So, 2 interesting things about the Java Edition server, 36 hours in. One is the fact that no one has come back to finish this. They just thought this was an acceptable way to leave their house, and I disagree vehemently with their opinions. And 2 is the fact that even though the server has kind of decreased in popularity, mostly because of its lag, even with 4 people on, we're still experiencing serious lag. So, again, I feel like I probably configured something incorrectly. But, you know, if we fix that shortly, then we can start to see what people get up to. Because right now, as best I can tell, the most that I've seen are a bunch of signs saying Toycat is yes. That's about all the progress we've seen in the last 12 hours. I think because of some server issues I ran into. On the other hand, the Bedrock server, as you can see over here, has a healthy player base at all times, but also a lot of people come in and, I don't know, invade the Reich, and then the Reich falls, and then everything's on fire again. It looks real rough. It looks like there are some people who do not like that other people build things, because literally 12 hours since this burgeoning little society turned into a hellhole where everything's on fire and destroyed. I like that whoever it was, though, left the Toycat Cathedral. Everything else here, it's a wreck, it's on fire. The Toycat Cathedral seems to be perfectly in shape, and I love that, you know, it's a respectful griefer, if nothing else. Oh, it makes it even more tragic that the Tundra Village had literally one rule. No griefing, please. Man, what a monster. You know, I thought this guy was like, okay, you really enjoy griefing, it's just your favorite thing to do. At least you didn't grief the Toycat Cathedral. But he griefed it. There was one rule, and he broke that one rule, and that is just the most tragic thing I've ever seen. So someone just offered to teleport me. It's Assassin BO55. I think he just teleported me to the sky. I'm also like 95% sure this guy's hacking. I have no proof of that yet, but I mean, we could always do what we do best. I'm not gonna kill the guy. I'm not gonna ban him for that. He gave me some bread. I guess we're cool now. So the sheer number of players that have come through this Bedrock server have basically made the most effective strategy just to, again, find your little base, hide somewhere, and then build your food from there. And it seems as though this has happened all over the server, which is really, you know, nice for the players, but it also means there's no real impressive sign of civilization. I mean, you get houses like this, which, for the record, like, man, this is like one of the worst houses I've ever seen. I get that it's built from natural resources, probably built from a mesa biome, but it's still one of the ugliest houses I've seen in a while. It's off-center. It has to be deliberately designed that way, right? But sadly, pretty much anywhere I go, even when you're hundreds of thousands of blocks from spawn, like this one right here, you can see how, like, oh yeah, we've got like what seems to be the start of a civilization, or maybe someone just ended this. I'm not too sure which way around that goes. You get a lot of examples of just like, man, this is something cool is about to happen here, but also I'm kind of missing it. Oh, it looks like they've, you know, found the list of griefers or hacks or whatever, and they're like, you know what, we're going to put them on a list. We're going to somehow get them with our FBI skills. I'm not sure how that one works. Toycan, can we get a fishing rod? Why can you not get a fishing rod? Oh, it requires string and there's no mobs. That's interesting. What I'll do instead is I'll give them exactly 2 string, which is just not enough for a fishing rod, because I'm a benevolent ruler, if nothing else. But yeah, it's really interesting to see the signs of progress that always get somewhere, and then when things get too big, civilization scatters. Speaking of wild, the spawn area, like I mentioned, this is like the hub for people who come in to grief and do whatever else. And, you know, obviously you've got the usual towers off where people have done the lava water thing. I get that. But interesting enough, you also see a few houses that have started in the middle of this, which, to me, the only way this could have happened, right? Because these houses are so high up, someone decided, oh, even though there's these giant lava coils here, and even though everyone spawns here by default, including people who apparently want to cause, you know, like harm to people's builds, even with that in place, people decided to build their houses here, which I just cannot understand the logic in that one. But yeah, you might recall how we spawned in a savannah, and there was a little bit of a mesa next to it. You can still see that a little bit to this day. I mean, you can see someone made a blaze, and then the blaze is gone, and then everything else has been long abandoned. It's kind of cool that this looks like the remains of an ancient civilization. It's been 4 days, right? And it looks like it's the remains of some long forgotten you know, civilization. Yeah, the one common trend I see everywhere is people trying to build Toycat statues. That's your sign that you're one of the good guys, and the sign that you're a bad guy is maybe if you cover that with jungle planks instead. Or maybe this is just the lowest budget Toycat statue I've ever seen. But yeah, the number of players coming through the server on a daily basis seems to be much higher than normal, and that leads to a lot of really strange outcomes, which maybe is a good thing. I'm not even entirely sure. Meanwhile, I've finally got the Java server back online, 1.14.3. It's weird, the most recent version of Java, you know, no one ever uses it, and I was like, let's use it. But one of the reasons no one uses this particular build is because it just doesn't do good things to servers. Like, servers eventually break with it. We've gone back a version to 1.14.2. So many servers are like, okay, we're going to play 1.12 or 1.8. I've always been a fan of like, you know what, let's use progress. Even if we have to have some regress in some ways, then it's better to have the very newest versions, in my opinion. That's how I've always operated my live view, and apparently when it comes to this server that is incorrect, but I want to check it out regardless. Let's see what's going on around the place, because a lot has changed, it seems. By coincidence, I happen to be near this building again. Again, suspiciously similar to the one on Bedrock, even griefed in a similar manner by having similar blocks just like shoved all over it and blocks destroyed. It's very suspicious to me, the links between this building and that exact same one. But other things that we have around here are the toy cat signs. They have made it over, it seems. I look more like an owl than a cat. Actually, is this me? Toy cat is yes, statue of our god Toy Cat. One thing that has to be said is, although the Java server doesn't necessarily have, it's not necessarily undestroyed, but the spawn area is much prettier. There are more things that are just about remaining, because even though people destroy it from time to time, it seems, they're not using the same mass destruction techniques, and it means that there is always something happening at spawn. It looks like a very much real spawn server, if nothing else. There's even a little village near spawn. I mean, the walls aren't going to protect you from people who apparently use explosions, or at least lots of mining. But, you know, it's nice to see regardless. It definitely seems as though the Java server is the more, polite of the two. There are fewer people who are here trying to just, make things a bad time. Also, did these people build their houses into the wall? What even is this? So the spawn's pretty great, but away from spawn, when people make their, nice little cities and stuff, those seem to do much better here on the Java server. Look at this. This is using wood. Literally, I mean, like, this is a call to anyone who has any griefing tendencies. Like, hey, all you need to do is mine one bit of iron, one bit of flint, and you can destroy not only my entire house, our entire village. It's all made from wood, and it's all actually pretty well put together, it seems. So, either there are fewer griefers, or maybe people are just better at building on Java. It could be the case. That might be a thing we discover towards the end. Also, there's this lovely little thing at the edge. I actually really like this, like outside a lot. I think the interior space is used in a really ridiculous way, though. Like, so there's an inside, like, elevator shaft, but the elevator shaft is required to connect the two sides. Again, you gotta think these things through. Like, elevators are cool, but they're not cooler than real-life logic and facts and whatever else. According to my coordinates, we're only 1,500 blocks away from spawn on both axes, so again, they had to go less far, and also, they're less griefed. I guess, there are a few people just coming here to mess stuff up, which maybe is a sign of the community. Again, we'll see if that changes in the next 3 days. I hope it does not. Day 5, and the issue seems to have exacerbated even further, with the Bedrock players all making their own little separate bases, all very far away from everyone else. Here's an example of a new one, 380,000 blocks from spawn. As you can see, a guy has hollowed out a mountain. I don't know exactly why or what this is meant to be. I think it looks nice, even though it's a bit ridiculous, because, I mean, I don't know what's meant to be going on here. It's kind of nice anyway, though, right? But you can see all over the Bedrock server that similar things are happening. People are trying to make their own little houses or builds all the way in the corners over here, and then they have to make a farm. Someone, if it's too close to spawn, like this one, comes and destroys the farm, and then they move on to something else. And, yeah, it's this really interesting kind of individualistic attitude that's prevailed on this Bedrock server. Maybe, something about seeing too many griefers makes people do that. Maybe not. However, on the Java server, what you're seeing is actually a surprising progression, which isn't being halted. People are actually building in the same place together, all on different builds. You can see the same builds from last time. They've progressed. They've also made a little berry farm over here, as you can see. That's a cool little thing. There's even a sheep farm. There's even, like, proper wheat farms, uninterrupted, etc. And I think this is really interesting to see, because although, the server as a whole has been having more issues, maybe that's part of the reason why the Java players have been banding together more. Whereas on Bedrock, you're banding together to try and fight against the griefers, who seem to always, they're omnipresent there on any server or realm I've ever ran. Whereas on Java, people are over that, like, it seems as though people are over the idea of, like, haha, it's funny to destroy something else's work, because it's really easy to do that if you want to. So instead, people enjoy much more making interesting builds, or secret areas, or whatever else. By the way, this is a whole secret base underground with, like, enchantment tables, or maybe secret's not the right word, but a whole underground base. It's a really cool little thing, and it's something they made because, again, to me at least, it feels like, well, the griefing is something that is, something that's kind of past people, and the bigger issue is the server instability as a whole. People are fighting the server itself to some extent by combining together, whereas the much bigger issue on the Bedrock server is griefers. The people, like, let's be honest, most of them are quite young, right? Who only get joy from destroying other people's stuff. That's an instinct that presumably you might grow up, and maybe that shows the age disparity that you see between Java and Bedrock, or at least that some Java Java players have to some Bedrock players. Because Bedrock is available on a whole variety of devices, so where the average Xbox or Switch player might be, you know, in the late teenage years, or the PC player might be in the, you know, like late 20s on average. There's a lot of older people than that. You know, the average mobile player is going to be significantly younger because there are a lot of, you know, like single-digit age people who have mobile devices, who play Minecraft, who might have stumbled across this server in some way. That's, you know, that's one theory on that one. Who knows if it's got any truth to it? It could just be pure coincidence. It could just be that the Java players are just nicer to each other, have a better sense of community. It could purely be the fact that fewer players hopped onto Java because I have a smaller section of my audience that plays Java compared to Bedrock, at least based on the server numbers. You know, overall, it's hard to be certain what exactly is going on here, but I do love looking at the Java server a little bit more, because it seems to be a much more cooperative, sort of good server that you'd like to join. And although I hope that doesn't change in the next couple of days, it totally could. So let's look around the rest of the server. Because you can see even the pretty badly, you know, not even griefed areas, but pretty badly destroyed areas aren't quite as totally destroyed. And, you know, there isn't that lava spiral and there isn't all these other things, which is nice if nothing else. But yeah, no matter where you look in this world, you're going to see either unfinished builds, or you're going to see builds which actually look kind of good. Oh, this guy decided to make a nice little cobblestone pathway into the jungle. Huh, I guess it was just a jungle temple that someone really wanted to make sure they didn't miss out on. I have to know, did he even go inside? Has he left it intact? Is it looted perhaps? Let's find out. Oh, no way! Even all of these days later, with a jungle temple somewhat near spawn, because it's so deep inside a jungle, no one grabbed the loot. I mean, I'm just saying, these people clearly don't watch their Seed Sunday if they couldn't locate this in the middle of thousands of blocks of jungle. Just saying. I grew up with a diamond sword, not a golden scar. Welcome to the Soviet Union. Communist population tracking. Arya Katka. What even is any of this? I don't know what I'm seeing right. What I do know though is apparently 6 days on, the most successful society on either of the servers, the most successful society I've seen on any server, is one that models itself after the Soviet Union apparently, and its hatred for Fortnite. Maybe that's all you need in the world. Maybe you just need to have a big enemy in the form of Fortnite and the Golden Scar, and you need a little bit of pretend communism, and then once you've got that going on, people seem to be pretty happy. If nothing else, I mean, he's got diamond armor and an enchanted diamond sword, which I believe is legit, right? I believe that this genuinely happened. These people complained about it never being night. I'm not sure, like, if time moves slower on the server or something, but I decided, you know, I'll set the time to night for them. I'll let them do whatever they need to. Usually when I make these server videos, I try to observe and never really interact too much, but in this case, you know, I've decided God is communist in this case. God is a Fortnite-hating communist, at least as far as this server is concerned. So I accidentally died because whenever you spawn into a server, even if you were creative last time you were there, it usually sets you back to survival, weird Bedrock-related bug, but then when I died, I spawned in this weird little hallway, and I love this. Underneath all of the rubble, all of the obsidian and the cobblestone, and the mess that has been made by griefers at spawn, there is some nice little signs that have been made right here. Welcome to IBX Psycat server. A lot of the stuff is grief, but if you go further, you'll find some towns you can live in. Have a good time, remember Psycat as yet. Someone went through the effort of making these signs, knowing full well that eventually, you know, whether it's 5 people or 10 people in, someone's going to decide, oh, I'm going to break the signs, because there's nothing stopping them, but I love the beauty in the fact that someone didn't decide to do that, and yeah, big fan of, you know, this spawn area. But let's see what has happened in the last little bit of time. We are just under 12 hours to go until the server experiment is over. So I'm curious as to what has happened in that time. It seems as though there's a giant tunnel under a mesa. Like, is this designed to get people away from spawn, maybe? I'm not too sure, but it's kind of cool to see. Yeah, this thing goes on for hundreds of blocks, but then it ends you out just in this random little place over here in what used to be someone's house, I think, or what was trying to be someone's house. I love that someone was like, you know what, my goal on this server is to get people away from the spawn, to get people away from that mess and all the other messes around here. I think that's beautiful. Also, there's a surprising number of messages saying Toycat Y, even above this guy's house right here. I'm not sure what that's all about. Also, why did this guy decide to settle down and make a house right next to this mess? Like, that seems like the riskiest place to make something, but you know, I guess it worked out for him, didn't it? Also, it looks like someone tried to claim the mess for Germany. I'm pretty sure that's only the German flag. It's a really weird aspect ratio for it, but sure, I guess that's a thing they can do. You know, it's surprising actually. There's a lot of these miniature houses around this area because some people just decided, you know, even though there is literally a giant, you know, griefed mess right above me, right around me on every single side, you know, I think it's a great idea to start a house here, apparently. But yeah, something I think is beautiful is that that sign was not in fact lying. The sign was true. There are little towns all around the map, it seems. Like this one over here, again, a fair few thousand blocks away. It's a nice little house with multiple little residents trying to farm and get their life going with cocoa beans and with wheat here. They've even made a little town hall because you know what we need in these little villages? We need some local governance, some politics to save this situation, am I right? But yeah, no, more seriously, it's kind of cool to see towns like this. Or towns like this, although I think this is in the very, very early stages of being a town. I mean, it's 2 houses, both of which are missing quite serious structural blocks that I don't think is a coincidence. But still, I mean, this is what happens when you spawn, when you start this close to spawn. Oh, it looks like the town was at one point bigger, but it got set on fire, so they decided to relocate. And I'm just saying, I feel like this is not the best planned relocation in the world. It's funny though, because most towns you check, especially ones from earlier, this was 4 days ago that this was a thriving town, the best part of the entire server, and now it's this. The only thing that survived is this awful cobblestone well. Everything else has been thoroughly destroyed. It seems multiple times even, like flattened to the ground in some places. It's really sad to see because this was, at one stage, the biggest part, the most promising part of the entire server, and now it is this. Meanwhile, on the Java server, things are progressing much more slowly. Again, I would say more positively as a whole, but can you spot the difference between last time, we checked this out 24 hours ago, and now? I would say probably not too much. I don't know how someone became OP, by the way. That's a mystery to me, but I guess they made a nice little house for themselves here in the Wastelands, and probably haven't decided to destroy something, so that's nice if nothing else. Yeah, that's how I would describe this the Java server by comparison. It's much less intense, there's much fewer things going on, but also the things that do happen progress a bit slower, you know? I would kind of describe it as the difference between, like, I don't know, to make a comparison, city life and, like, I don't know, countryside life or whatever. Like, oh yeah, when you live in the countryside, nothing really happens ever, question mark? But when things do happen, they're generally at least slightly positive, whereas in city, things are happening all the time, and some of those things are bad. Sometimes people are dying, being mugged, destroyed, etc. And, yeah. Whereas I genuinely think that within the next 12 hours, the Bedrock server could change entirely, like it could be destroyed, every single last trace of civilization could be gone by then, all these little pockets are getting destroyed one by one. I could see that happening. Over here, I don't doubt that in 12 hours, this will still be around. I don't doubt that in 12 hours, we'll be able to see things like this village, still just a little bit bigger, and is that good or is that bad? That's one of the big questions I didn't think we'd be raising with this video, but apparently we are. Also, look at this nice little use for campfire. I like this. Either way, though, I'm going to give the server another 12 hours. Then we're going to see what happens at the end of exactly a week. And we're going to see, Bedrock versus Java. Which community builds better, which community works together better. And, settling the big dispute once and for all in a way that's probably going to make everyone unhappy. But if you don't make everyone unhappy, then you're not a very good supreme leader, are you? That is what I know about communism, and that is what we are enforcing on this server. So the experiment is over now, and here you can see on the Bedrock server, things just kept on getting messier at spawn. People thought, you know what, there isn't enough cobblestone and lava and messes around here, so they just kept on adding to it, which again is a pretty standard thing for these servers. But still, seeing it happen day by day is still staggering, because I just question who wants to do this. Who enjoys doing this? But some people do, apparently. So let's see what else we have on the server. Because every single time I hop on, it seems as though another, major town from last time has been destroyed. This seems to be a moderately successful one. I really like this because it's modeled on the old-style Minecraft Tiger villages. I mean, look, they rebuilt this from scratch. I think building these is more impressive. Now you can't get them naturally, and like, oh look, it's the old-style blacksmith. I think they've messed up in a couple ways besides not having lava. I can't see where, but something seems off about this, right? Oh, I think it needs stone slabs on top, but still, they've got a blacksmith over here, which is really cool. Even with some random blacksmith loot they've made for themselves. And then obviously they've got a little house, which is Bird Yowo Kui's house. So yeah, there's a lot of these houses around the place. Every house has a lot of food, every house is kind of a minute base, and every house that is surviving seems to be very far out. Again, check the coordinates if you want a good idea of how far people are going to ensure that no one can follow them. But you can see, looking over pretty much this entire server, that same thing seems to be true. This server the Bedrock server at the very least, seems to have simulated like what happens in a giant apocalypse or something like that, where people just go off and they're not necessarily sticking to groups unless it's absolutely necessary. If you have a group, one person betrays you or one person gives away your location by accidentally teleporting someone to them, and suddenly your whole thing is gone. So instead, people like this live by themselves in a nice little corner of the world. They collect flowers, apparently, and this is how they survive and thrive in Minecraft. And it's interesting seeing what can go horribly wrong if one person betrays the entire group. So yeah, there's this whole kind of dichotomy of this server that kind of boils down to the Bedrock server, something about, Bedrock. Maybe, again, it's the player, the fact that there are a younger series of players on Pocket Edition who maybe haven't developed empathy. I don't know, maybe there's something about these Bedrock servers. Maybe it's because of the videos or whatever, but something about them leads to, a portion of the player base being an unknown quantity, being either untrustworthy, or you don't know if you can trust them or you can't trust them. What is it about the server that leads to this very individualist attitude? What is it about the server that leads to all these things being built and then destroyed so fast after coming in? Because it is fascinating. Is this a swimming pool, by the way? I think it is. It's the weirdest swimming pool. I would not go swimming in a pool that looks like this. But yeah, overall, the Bedrock server, I would say, has functioned moderately well in some ways, but overall in terms of like how well did it do as a survival server, not very well, right? I mean, it's not the best survival server in the world, especially when compared to the Java Edition server, because the exact same crisis seemed to occur here, where there were constantly issues and, things people had to worry about, but the issues were kind of external. Again, Minecraft 1.14 is not stable to run servers on, but again, I like to run the latest versions, so I guess we have to just deal with that, right? So, basically, the game itself was the challenge for Java. Even though the server infrastructure is usually great for Java, for the last few updates, it hasn't been so amazing, and that seems to be the bigger thing people are fighting against. The community as a whole, the people actually playing on the server, seem to be, more not, maybe mature is the word, but maybe just better able to handle what was going on with, this whole thing. Or maybe just by pure chance, we got a set of people better able to cooperate with each other. Also, apparently they killed the Ender Dragon. I need to see that. No way, they actually did. Okay, well, I mean, it looks like it took a lot of effort based on all the water that's flooding around here. And there's even a grave for the dragon, maybe? Or maybe for someone who died fighting it. But still, the level of cooperation on this server was much higher from the get-go. There were, it seemed as though, at least a few griefers, but the proportion was much lower, and the people who weren't, into that whole thing seemed to be much more on board with just doing some cooperative stuff. There were fewer things built overall, there were more issues that were dealt with overall, but I would say as a whole, based on the areas that I can see, I mean the server is literally millions of blocks, maybe there's some ugly stuff if we go millions of blocks out, maybe there's some good stuff if we go all those blocks out, but based on the areas that were actually, inhabited in the times we went through, based on all of that, we can say that this server seems to be a bit more successful. The level of just pure destruction was lower, the level of people trying to ruin things was lower, and the actual quality and quantity, it seems as though, of, decent builds seems to be higher. Although, sadly, this person got bored halfway through making their cave update sign, it seems. Let's mark it down for that. But yeah, so if this entire experiment was to prove, so which community is better? Is it the Java fans, or the Bedrock fans? I mean, I would say based on this experiment, you can clearly say the Java thing. But I think the real reason for that is because the people who want to do bad on the Bedrock edition of Minecraft have fewer places to go. There are servers that will cater to you no matter what your playstyle is. If you hate everyone and you just want to ruin the world, there are servers where you can be rewarded heavily for that. Anarchy servers, and there are all sorts of servers on Java for this, whereas if you're a Bedrock player and you want to play with people who you don't know, how many options do you really have? There aren't, there are servers, but they don't really cater to survival. They're more like, games they can monetize. There are 5 servers on Xbox and Switch, for example, and if you're on Pocket Edition, you might not know where to find other servers, and to me, I think that's where things get rough. You can see, whenever I talk to a group, I'm like, oh yeah, why'd you do this? And they're like, I don't know, it just was kind of fun, I guess, because if you want to do this, the Bedrock server offers your first opportunity, whereas it seems as though, I said mature earlier, but I think really when I say matured player base, the Java, community has been able to play servers since the game's inception, whereas Bedrock has been much more limited in that regard.
By the way, no way, this build from earlier, someone did come around and start finishing it. Again, no one knows I was making this video. So someone came back, it took them 6 days, but we finally have the build at 90% completion. But yeah, I would say the Java community has 10 years of playing together. The Bedrock community, there's been some form of online for the last 7 years in, Pocket Edition followed by Bedrock, but it's never been particularly good. Even right now, the Bedrock, server software, everything is behind Java in that way, and therefore the number of servers that just cater to strangers playing is much fewer as well, and I think that is probably one of the biggest culprits. I think it's really easy to spread the meme that, like, Java good, Bedrock bad, lol, but I do think in this case there is a real advantage to having had a player base that's much more used to the game. Also, yeah, the more I look around, I just find things like this, like, someone just made a cute little house in the middle of the mountain that you probably wouldn't even spot from a distance because most things render out at that point. So yeah, this server has been a very interesting experience. The fact that we've seen 2 different servers with 2 very different results. And overall, I just want to say, thank you to anyone who joined along, and thank you for watching this video starting it off. I also want to thank, though, MC Pro Hosting, who, if you don't know, provided the servers for this particular video. MC Pro Hosting, their company that just reached out and said, hey, we've noticed you do a lot of server stuff. We'd love for you to use one of our servers, and I've decided to use it for this past week. And yeah, the fact that I can do something as cool as having 2 separate servers, not just realms of 10-player maximums, servers where up to 100 people were joining at the start, having 100 people on the same server at the same time is something that's only been possible because of MC Pro Hosting. And if you want to get a server, whether it is for Bedrock or for Java, you can get one at MC Pro Hosting. There's a link down below. I believe there's some incentive if you click my link, and it tells them that, hey, yeah, let's sponsor this Toy Cat guy some more, because you know what's good on the internet? Letting companies know that they should sponsor people more, which I think is actually a good thing. That's obviously one of the key ways to supplement the revenue from a thing that This guy just pops up and says, hey Toy Cat, you making a video, Toy Cat is a liberal. So, we're gonna have to take a little break from that. We're just gonna teleport to him. We're gonna see what he's got going on that makes him so sure about this. Oh, he has a secret little house. It's not very good secret, but yeah, thank you for watching this video. Check out MC Pro Hosting if you want a Minecraft server just like one of these. And yeah, I guess I'll see you all in the next one. By the way, oh yeah, MC Pro Hosting, they're gonna be a long-term sponsor on the channel, I hope. And if you want to see more server videos, let me know, because I've got some really fun ideas that came just from misconfiguring this server. Like, I accidentally set up in hardcore first of all. Imagine having a hardcore multiplayer server. There's a lot of fun things we can do like that in the future that we will be doing. If you want to see these, because people always ask, how do I get involved in one of these videos? Follow me on Twitter. I tweet when there's a new server. Don't tweet me asking when there's a new server. I'll tweet when there's a new server. That's how the system works. If you tweet me, it doesn't happen faster. You follow me there if you want to see it. If you don't want to see it, then don't follow me there. And if you want to see more of these videos, then follow me here, which is called subscribe, because YouTube's YouTube, and turn on notifications if you really want to see that stuff. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your vote down below as to which server you think would be more fun to play on. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.